An empathy map is a collaborative visualization used to articulate what we know about a particular type of user. It externalizes our knowledge in order to, one, create a shared understanding of our users' needs, and two, aid us in decision making. Empathy maps can be used throughout the UX process to establish common ground among team members and to understand then prioritize user needs. In user-centered design, empathy maps are best used in the discovery stage when we're trying to understand and identify the needs, wants, and pain points of the people who use our product and service. As with any mapping method, there are benefits from the process of making an empathy map, as well as the finished artifact. So why use an empathy map? Well, it allows us to capture who a user or persona is. The empathy mapping process helps us distill and categorize our knowledge of the user into one place. So we can use empathy mapping to, one, inform a research plan. You can discover gaps in your current knowledge and identify the types of research needed to address it. A sparse empathy map would indicate that more research needs to be done. We can use these gaps to guide our user research efforts, helping to identify the most important questions to ask and the relevant areas to explore. We can also, two, use empathy maps to analyze research. We can categorize and make sense of qualitative research, so research notes, survey answers, user interview transcripts, and merge these insights into an at-a-glance understanding of the user. And three, finally, we can use empathy maps to assess patterns. Create personas by aligning and grouping empathy maps covering individual users. We can better understand similarities in their approach and behavior, and then use them to drive a higher level empathy map that represents the group at large. Now, those are all the ways that we can use empathy maps in our process, but then those finished artifacts can then communicate a user and persona to others. An empathy map is a quick, digestible way to illustrate our users' attitudes and behaviors. Once created, it should act as a single source of truth throughout your project. Protect it from bias and unfound assumptions. They are helpful tools as we communicate the user's perspective to stakeholders and decision makers, helping ensure that the final product or service meets the needs of our real user. As you think about how to use empathy mapping, also think about how you can adapt the framework. One of my favorite adaptations is to use empathy mapping in a user interview during a cognitive mapping session, where we collect data directly from the user. This means having the participant make an empathy map of themselves, capturing what they say, think, feel, and do as they approach a task. When empathy maps are filled in directly by users, they can act as a secondary data source and represent a starting point for the summary of the user session. Moreover, the interviewer may glean feelings and thoughts from the interviewee that otherwise would have remained hidden. As their name suggests, empathy maps simply help us build empathy with our end users. Given their simplicity, there's a lot of ways we can use them. Try using empathy maps in different ways and see what's most valuable to you. Then you can adapt it to your needs, process, and team.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of our UX videos, take a look at these over here and consider subscribing to our channel. On our website, nngroup.com, you can access our free library of over 2,000 articles. You can also register for one of our UX courses that offer live hands-on UX training.